Hi, I'm Tara Hitchcock. You're watching a special on-location edition of Harkins Theater's Behind the Screens. Guess what? We've got dragons. We have Toothless, who's not very chatty today, but it's okay because we had plenty of people to talk to. We are talking about the live-action reimagining of the 2010 hit How to Train Your Dragon, sparked an entire franchise. We sat down with Stoic the Vast himself, Gerard Butler, and the rest of the cast. Take a look.
We're all descendants of the finest dragon fighters from everywhere the Vikings ever traveled.
Congratulations on this. If it's Stoic the Vast, it's Gerard the what?
Gerard the loser?
No.
No, I don't know. Gerard the resilient. I've had to be very resilient in my life, in this career, you know, to still be around and to be able to make movies like this. And I think I brought a lot of that resilience into Stoic, into his vastness. I did come in with, I haven't said this many times, but, you know, with a power and an energy that I wanted to infuse not only into Stoic, but into this whole movie, you know, into all the other Vikings, into the cast, and to say, we're here, we're doing this, and we've got to bring everything to this. And I feel like I did. I left it all out there on the battlefield, you know, both physically and emotionally. And I think I went to Bali after that for 12 days and literally just was like, oh my God, because I was exhausted after this movie. It really, I'm not as young as I used to be, let's just say that. But it's the emotional journey this man goes through, you know, that takes it out of you.
Well, it's interesting you say that because as affecting as you are in the scenes where you're given a big speech and you're like, sign me up, I'll go wherever you're going. It's just as effective in the small moments, especially with Mason, where you finally think you have something you can talk to your son about, and it doesn't. It's a heartbreaking small scene.
You go first.
No, you go first.
Yeah.
And you're just as great in that.
Yeah. That was my favorite stuff to do, actually. We've seen Stoic pontificate and speechify, and that's fun. And I could do that in this movie with way more nuance, right? It wasn't just a big speech. It's like, hey, you know, and sad moment, you know. So I could feel all of that. But really, it's watching this man's emotional journey and the things that he's grappling with. And there's as much said in his silences and the holding of the breath that pulls you in, and you feel his pain, his longing, his loss, his grief. Those moments, those little moments, are the moments that hit so deep. The visual feast is amazing in this movie, but those little moments are the ones that you leave with going, oh my God. Oh my God, and I feel like we achieved that.
You can't stop him, Stoic.
Nick said he had a guy that was specifically in charge of cleaning out and combing his beard. Did you have that person? Did you ever lose some food in there, find some food from a few days earlier?
Oh yeah. By the way, I ended up having to emulsify my food, and so two
Through a
things.
straw?
One, my beard, it was in 5 parts, and they had to put so much spirit to take it off because they had to put so much glue on because I sweat so much during the day. I was so hot, so they were always putting more glue on. So by the end of the day, I had about an inch thick of glue. So they would put almost a bucket of spirit, and it was choking me. So then they developed this big long straw that I could breathe through so I didn't bring in the fumes. And then at lunchtime, because if I took my beard off or anything off, it was 30 minutes on and off. We only had 30 minutes for lunch. So they ended up emulsifying my food. And I could have steak through a straw. But I had to put something in there. You know?
You got a whole product of shakes coming up.
Yeah,
Shakes
Jerry
from
Butler's
Gerard Butler.
steak shakes.
These are the collectible Harkins loyalty cups, and your film is celebrated right here. So these are for you.
Whoa, no way.
Discounts on refills, you guys. At Eddie Harkins Theater.
Is
That's so
wait, this is
sick.
SpongeBob. Oh my God, is that Paddington?
You got to look
you
through
were
it.
right next to Paddington.
Wait,
She's gonna
you
lose
know
her
what that
mind.
means to me, Mason. This is.
She's gonna
so
lose her
cool.
mind. Somebody take cover.
I probably should have done
Is
this
that
at
the
the
black
end
I
of
know
the
this is
interview.
gonna.
There's the
happen
black
for a really long
phone.
time.
All right, bud. You ready?
Forget Tom Cruise, by the way, on a biplane. You guys are on dragons. What does it feel like to ride a dragon?
I mean,
Similar to how Tom Cruise felt.
yeah, exactly how Tom Cruise felt. I definitely wasn't jumping off mountains or anything. But yeah, the dragons are pretty dope. Gotta
It
say.
was cool. It was really
that,
fun.
Tom.
Right? Yeah, take that, Tom Cruise. No, it was really fun. I think it was actually. We always speak about how fun it was. It was also slightly uncomfortable at times.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
it was really. I mean, it was like our childhood coming to life. That's
Yeah.
like my absolute dream. And as much as it wasn't the fully realized version of what I probably envisioned as a 7-year-old. The fact that we even got to do any of it in the first place is ridiculous.
Okay, action.
What do these characters mean to you? What does Astrid mean to you?
Oh my god. Well, she was like, I mean, still now, but as a child, she was like absolute childhood icon, hero, everything. So the fact that I had the opportunity to take on a role like that of someone that was so important to me as a kid is really, really special. I think the fact that there's going to be a whole generation of kids that might have not seen the originals that get to kind of have a new version of these really beloved characters is so daunting, but really, really exciting.
Hook up.
Dad.
Dean has talked about how he could tell that you were a little starstruck with Gerard,
Yeah.
and then he was able to watch the transition
Yeah.
when you finally. Do you remember what that felt like initially, and the moment when you could let your guard down and go, okay, he's just another actor. I'm also good.
Yeah, I was terrified because to me I was just sitting in front of Stoic the entire time, so it was a little scary. But yeah, working with him through a couple scenes, and I think it was the first scene that we ever shot together was it was in Hiccup's workshop when he comes and kind of interrogates Hiccup about the dragon. It took about 3 or 4 takes until, you know, I finally got warmed up and was less like, you know, starstruck and more just, you know, in the scene is Hiccup and Stoic, and, you know, doing those scenes with Jerry were like magic. It was so fun.
So it's Stoic the Vast. It's Mason the what?
Ooh. Wait, can you do this one? Mason the
For
what?
you, Mason the... I don't know if I'm going to be nice. If I'm gonna be...
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
think Mason the caring. You're pretty caring.
I'm like Mason the
You're
caring?
Pretty considerate.
Stoic the Vast and Mason the caring.
About a week and a half ago, I actually had the privilege of interviewing one of your biggest fans who is also in the film business, and he has a question for you. So
Okay.
we'll start. What was the last big meal you cooked at home? Simon Pegg.
Okay, it would have been like a slow cooker, kind of like a ragu, and the kids love it. I mean, they love it.
Yeah.
So it's a win, and I can do it on like a Monday or Tuesday, batch cook like 5 pounds of mince, and then it keeps them going for the week.
Well, out of everything dragon related, that's what he was most curious about. So I
Yeah.
told him I would get
Okay,
the
good,
answer
fine, okay.
to that question. Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
this. Is Gobber a chef, by the way?
I think Gobber is a kind of a new man, so I think he definitely cooks. I think in those kind of times too, it's like if you don't do it yourself, then you're going to go hungry. So
Yeah.
I think he learned that from a very early age.
He's got to be
He
self-sufficient.
has to be self-sufficient. Yeah.
Although I will say his beard looks like something I macrameed when I was 7. Like I can't quite figure that out. So how would you describe it? What went into it? And did you play with it at all?
The moustache and the beard feels like something a child will have macrameed when they were 7.
Well, go figure.
It's very annoying. So I get into the trailer, I have a little moan about it, and then I don't moan for the rest of the day. Although lunch is difficult because I hate like hair in my mouth.
Or did you find something you ate for lunch 2 days earlier in your macrameed beard 2 days
They
later?
actually had a crew member whose job it was to comb my beard for pieces of meat.
That's a selfie I would have gotten. If
Yes,
some person's
big
just hanging out doing my thing.
Pheasant
Yeah.
leg hanging out of my...
I love the scene where the kids are like, aren't you supposed to be teaching us something? You're like, I think it's better to learn on the job.
Learn on the job, yeah.
When was the time in your career that you felt the least prepared and really had to learn on the job?
Oh, every day I walk on a film set, I think.
Really?
100%, yeah. I mean, but I've felt that way for 23 years as well. And I think there is something in that keeps me. I'm really aware that if I take my foot off that pedal, mistakes are made and people get killed. Let's have a look at it. But I like it.
Yeah.
There's never a set, there's never a day where I walk on and think, easy, I got this. It's all every day is like, okay, how can I be better? How can I help?
When I was a boy,
Here we go.
I followed orders.
Will you and Gerard Butler ever become as close as you and Simon Pegg?
I don't think any man or woman I'll ever be as close to another person as I am with Simon, but I think Simon's very forgiving if I were to stray off the path for a slice of Jerry Butler.
I like the food reference.
It's
A
good,
slice of
good
Jerry
eating,
Butler.
let me tell you. Yeah, I don't think he'd mind.
Who's got the best nickname out of all of you? You've got Snot Lout,
Yeah.
Fish Legs,
Yeah.
and you guys are twins. I can't even tell you
It's
apart.
tough. I kept
Rough
on
Nut,
calling
Tough
myself Rough Nut during filming.
I
so
wake
forgot.
up every morning,
That's
look in the
my routine.
mirror and go, oh my god, it's Harry Travolta.
It's Harry Travolta, it's one face.
Why would I read words?
I think Snot Loud is
Snot
pretty.
Loud. Yeah.
Yeah, Snot Loud, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It's
pretty
like,
just-
what?
It's pretty.
It's pretty. It is pretty. I liked Fish Legs the most in terms of being able to sort of change it and make it funny.
Yes.
But I don't know if any of that's in the
Mark.
movie. So.
Wait and find
Yeah,
out.
not this cut.
Maybe on the DVD.
It was.
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was.
on
The
the
DVD cut.
Aren't you gonna, like, teach us something first? I believe in learning on the job!
You know, I love the scene where Gabber comes out and you guys are like, aren't you supposed to teach us stuff? He's like, I think it's best to learn on the job. Can each of you give me an example of the moment you felt the least prepared, where you literally had to learn on the job quickly?
Yeah, I think when they said you guys are doing American accents, I think it was no,
And you were like, perfect.
perfect. Hey y'all. No.
That's Texas.
Yeah,
I would-
sorry. Yeah.
All right.
For me, when we got to Belfast, I was like, okay, so you were just kind of just running around and doing stuff. But the amount of like kind of stunt training we kind of had to do,
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised by it.
I think the size of the stage that we were on, because Dean was so dead set on making it like a 360-degree view for us. So wherever the camera was pointed, it wasn't like, oh, behind the camera it's just green screen or whatever.
Yeah.
It was like it was everywhere. That felt very quickly like, okay, I need to meet that as it
Standard,
Yeah.
And that was the same with the dragons as well. They had like these amazing puppets to work with. So it was so rarely that you were just like acting against a tennis ball. As an actor, it was such a gift because you really were like properly in it. Yeah, it was great.
Finish the script. First draft.
So this has got to be a full circle moment, and I know you were excited to revisit this, but when you were visualizing the live action version, what were you most excited to see in that form?
I was very excited to bring my love of Iceland and Scotland and the Faroe Islands into this movie. Make Berk feel like a real place. So much of the animated movie was designed deliberately to make Hiccup feel really small in his world. We didn't have to do that in this movie because we had Mason Thames, and so it was more about creating a world that you really want to visit and stay in.
Well, I was very excited because I actually went to the Faroe Islands last May. So when I saw your film, I'm like, that's got to be Faroe Islands because that's Dragonir, the sea arch.
Wow,
How
most
great
people
is
don't
that?
even know that the Faroe Islands are a thing.
Exactly. So I was really excited. Do they know that this film in some ways was inspired by?
I keep talking about it. In fact, our island of Berk is an actual island in the Faroe Islands. It's called Tindhólmur. It's smaller. We scaled it up, but it's the same proportion. And I'm just so blown away by how exotic and kind of rugged and exaggerated the shapes are. So you got to experience it yourself.
I
That's
did.
amazing.
I can't kill dragons.
I know that Mason has talked about how there's so much of Hiccup in him, and I'm sure you can find bits and pieces of everybody, but who can you relate to the most? Who is in Dean?
Oh, definitely Hiccup. Yeah, Hiccup represents the outsiders. He's a character that's not cut from the same cloth as everyone else, and I grew up as one of those kids, sort of always feeling like I had to change who I was in order to feel validated or to fit in. And Hiccup's just a character who can withstand that mockery and that ridicule and still stick to what makes him different and let the world change around him.
You don't still feel like an outsider, do you?
No, because the world's changed to accommodate me.
Yeah, I like that. You do you and have everybody else adapt.
Yeah.
Harkins Theaters, these are collector's cups, and I know your birthday is basically the weekend before this film opens.
Yes.
Your film is one of the ones celebrated. These are the
Wow.
movies that we're excited about, and the iconic Harkins logo. Discounts on refills, Dean. Happy
All
birthday.
right. I love it. There we are. We've made it.